Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. The former head writer of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers says that casting a black and an Asian actor as the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger in the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was such a mistake. Now, in an article for Entertainment Weekly, Tony Oliver says that in the Dark Side of the Power Rangers documentary, that the casting of Walter Jones and Thuy Trang as the Black Ranger and Yellow Ranger was such a mistake because it was seen as racially insensitive. Now, this statement from Tony Oliver is, to me, just something that didn't need to be said because most of us who watched the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were never really thinking that hard about race when we watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now, I know that when I was in college and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was on the air, me and my cousin, when we used to watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, didn't even think twice about the casting of Walter Jones as the Black Ranger or the late Thuy Trang as the Yellow Ranger. We never saw it being based on race. No, when we sat there and watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, we basically saw the content of the characters and not the color of their skin. Now, when it came down to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, I was more interested in how cool the characters were of Zack and Trini. I was really just interested in how cool those characters were as people, and I never once really thought much about race as related to what color ranger they were. No, I was more caught up in the stories of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, whether they were at Angel Grove High and going out here and hanging out at the juice bar, or whether they were in action, basically dubbed over the Sentai Japanese footage. That's all that really mattered to me when I was watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I never really got that too deep into race back then in the early 90s. No, it wasn't even an issue for many kids who were watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. No, for most of the kids and young adults like myself who watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, we just saw a really fun show, that just was really entertaining to watch, and that's all that mattered to us when it came down to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. We never saw any sort of mistake at all as related to the casting of Walter Jones or the late Thuy Trang. No, all we saw were characters that we liked in an action-packed show that was made with a small budget and was just a big piece of government cheese as I see it. Now, according to Tony Oliver, he says that Thuy Trang was not the original Yellow Ranger, but the original Yellow Ranger was actually a white female, Audrey Dubois, who wound up quitting the show after a pay dispute after shooting the pilot, and this is where they wound up casting Thuy Trang into the iconic role of the Yellow Ranger, and they want us to believe that it was all about was a bad mistake. No, when it came down to the casting was absolutely perfect for the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. All of the actors basically had great chemistry, and they flowed well together. We saw a great dynamic among the original Power Rangers cast, and that's what made that show a phenomenon for generations of kids. I mean, a lot of us Gen Xers and many millennials, this show was just so much fun to watch, and it was so much fun to watch because a lot of us grew up not looking at the race of the characters, but looking at the content of their character. I mean, that's what made Power Rangers such a great show. I mean, we didn't really care about the race. We didn't care about the race of Jason, Zack, Billy, Trini, or Tommy or Kimberly. I mean, if you look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it had one of the most diverse casts. I mean, here you had people, again, of different walks of life, and it was just an absolutely fantastic show where you saw all of these people working together in one show. I mean, when I look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it's really no different than what I used to watch when I would watch other shows such in the 80s, such as G.I. Joe, which had a diverse cast, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or well, not Voltron, but real Ghostbusters. I mean, and other shows that had diverse casts, and nobody really, again, when we watched these shows, cared about the race of the characters. We cared about the stories and the character development that went on in these shows. I mean, when we were watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, people were more interested in trying to deal with the whole Green Ranger saga, which gave a lot of millennials a lot of stress. I mean, the Green Ranger saga, everybody was glued to their sets because we wanted to see what would happen with this whole situation with Tommy. And that was the big thing for a lot of kids. And then I remember in about 94 or 95, the people were more concerned with who was the White Ranger. And again, nobody cared about the race of these characters. I mean, Zach Taylor was just a cool guy who had good dance skills. And Trini was just, again, a really kind woman. And that's what mattered all to many Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fans. And what they want to do is, with this so-called documentary, again, try to create some controversy called Dark Side of the Power Rangers. Now, yeah, we know this show was made to be low budget. We know this show was made on a cheap budget. And it was basically, again, the working conditions weren't that great because this was a non-union show. This was not a union show in any way, shape, or form. And as the show basically became a phenomenon, this is what led to the late three Trang and Walter Jones and Austin St. John eventually leaving the show. And they left because they couldn't, again, get that money on this non-union show that they could get on union shows. And that led to all of them being replaced by Johnny Young Bosch and Karan Ashley and I think his name is Steve Cardenas. I mean, they got replaced by Rocky Adam and Aisha. But the whole thing is, even then, when they replaced Walter Jones, Austin St. John, and the late Three Trang, people still didn't care because Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was not about race. It was not about identity politics. It was not about social justice. And that's what really made that show great. What made that show great was it was just a focus on teens with attitudes. Again, really didn't have much attitude. They were kind of chill kind of kids. And again, they were selected to go out here and take on the evil Rita Repulsa and all the monsters she sent down the Angel Grove. And the thing that hooked us all was the Saved by the Bell footage mixed in with the Japanese Sentai footage. That's what made Power Rangers a fun show. Made it a fun show for, again, many of us Gen Xers who basically got a good laugh while we were in college. We got a good laugh watching this show because it would come on on weekdays at 4:30 here in New York, and sometimes it would pop up on Saturdays right after X-Men. And a lot of us college kids, we watched a lot of X-Men back in the day, and Power Rangers would pop up sometimes in specials in 93, and then in 94 sometimes it would pop up right after. And again, many millennials, again, you remember you would be running home from school or hoping you could get off the bus in order to watch Power Rangers if you didn't have your VCR set up to tape these episodes. So they're sitting there saying, "Oh, this was all about we were casting, and there was some sort of racial mistake." No, we never saw it as any sort of anything racial. I mean, if you talk to anybody who actually watched this show back in the 90s, nobody saw it as racial. No, we just saw it as just fun storytelling, and again, we just saw it as action and adventure. That's what Power Rangers was for us. And Power Rangers was just, again, a great show that, even as cheesy as it was just a fun escape for a good 30 minutes where you saw the heroes beating the bad guys. And that's what Power Rangers was to us. So we're sitting there, and I'm looking at this article that was made. I mean, I look at this article saying, oh, the casting of the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger as a black person and an Asian person was, again, racially insensitive. No, it wasn't racially insensitive. I mean, when you're casting a show, you want the best actors for the role, and we got the best actors for the role in Walter Jones and the best actress in the late Thuy Trang. We got the best performers on that show, and those performers were able to hold their own and carry their own as related to the merits of the performances. I mean, these were not Academy Award winning actors, but they were able to do their jobs. They were able to do their jobs effectively on this show. And I can't really have much fault with many of either Walter Jones or Thuy Trang. I always saw Walter Jones again as an icon. Again, here was a black guy who was a cool guy, and he was a Black Ranger, and that was great to see on television. And Thuy Trang represented the Asian community again in a positive light. Both of those performers were representing in a positive light and did a great job in their performances. So I don't know what people are saying it as racially insensitive. I think people got too much political correctness and are too overthinking things. You're just overthinking everything as related to the Power Rangers, because the casting of Power Rangers was absolutely perfect. You got great performances, and again, I mean, just everything was just a fun show. And I just think that, again, the people who made this documentary are trying to judge this show by the standards of social justice, when the only standard we need to judge this show is by the standard of it just being a fun show for kids. That's all we needed to know about Power Rangers, because, again, some people think, oh, it was the dark side. There's a whole dark side to Power Rangers, but I look at the light side of Power Rangers, and the light side was we had a great cast of performers who basically were icons for a generation of kids, and was an icon of what it meant to be a superhero for a generation of kids, telling, again, really fun stories and giving kids memories that they'll never forget, like the legendary Green Ranger saga. Now, if you want to check out my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, it's available on Lulu.com in paperback, and you can pick up a paper copy for the same price as a 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to pick up some of my action-packed fantasy in the SJS Direct universe, you can check out the books of the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella series, my Black sorority novel, The Thetas, and my vampire novel, Eternal Night. It's all great reading for readers of all ages, and you can find all those books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com. You can also find it at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos talking about sci-fi and fantasy, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers, the Steam Season of the Witch Girl. The aspiring angel takes on a wicked teenage witch in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Esteem Season of the Witch Girl at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.